We are standing on Mount Arbel. It is a marvelous overlook of the plain of Gennesaret or Kinneret and the Sea of Galilee, Lake Kinneret. And it's actually one of two facing cliffs. And the international traffic in antiquity, really, and especially in the first century, made its way, especially coming from the north. And of course, it was a season during the Pax Romana when there was so much traffic, commercial traffic, caravan traffic. And it would have made its way down the north, across the Jordan River, and it would have been funneled into Capernaum. And I think that's important because Capernaum is the city where Jesus had made his home, and it's also the city where so many of the miracle accounts in the Gospels are recorded as having happened. And so the traffic would have been funneled through Capernaum, then it would have made its way across this lush valley about 15 miles north to south and 5 miles wide that Josephus regards as the ambition of nature, and he just waxes ebullient about the beauty and the fruitfulness of this valley. But at any rate, the traffic would have come down here past the Arbel and then on past the Horns of Atin and past the Mount Tabor and into the valley of Jezreel, across Jezreel to Megiddo and on to Via Maris. And I say that to make this point, that it's a hugely important factor in my mind that this international traffic was forced into this area where Jesus lived during his earthly ministry, lived during his 18-month Galilean ministry, and the area where so many of these miracles were happening. And I think it may have been very much a part of God's plan so that when these stories are told in various parts of the world, they're actually people who had been part of caravans and had either encountered a man who used to walk with crutches but now was able to walk whole, encounter a man who was blind but he's no longer blind, and would tell him these stories of this marvelous man who lived here in town. His name is Jesus. He's a Nazarene, but he moved here. And now the story is told that these stories are carried by the caravan travelers all over the world. And now when the gospel comes and somebody shows up, some apostle or some missionary early in the first century shows up at his town in Egypt or in Babylon or wherever it might be, and he reads in Matthew the stories of this marvelous miracle worker, you can say, I was there in Capernaum. I heard about this man. So I think obviously this is important to us because so much of the biblical record unfolds here in the Gospels, but I think it's also important because it helps us understand the dynamics of travel and so on, God's purposes and strategy in shaping the earth in such a way that the gospel stories, which on the face of it are horribly incredible, would be rendered not only credible but compelling by the eyewitness testimony that could be borne to it immediately in the first century.